Welcome to StaffBuffalo's Pain Points podcast, where we unravel the complexities of staffing, human resources, and other challenges faced by businesses today.
Hi everyone, I'm Steph Hobbs. I am the Recruiting and Client Success Manager here at StaffBuffalo. I have been here now for 9 years, and I really specialize in working with finance and accounting candidates, CPAs, HR professional, and C-level positions who are looking to transition and find the next step in their careers. And most recently, I've been working more on the client side and getting interviews scheduled, setting up client calls, getting really what they're looking for out of the candidates and the profile that they're searching for. That's a little bit about me, and meet Ashley.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nosek, and I've been with the company for 2 years now. I'm a recruiter, and I specialize in different positions that are sales, operations, marketing.
Anything that's not accounting.
Yes, anything that's not finance and accounting. So we obviously work with both candidates and the clients simultaneously on various jobs. Sometimes we work together on roles, otherwise we specialize in our areas that we focus on specifically.
So we wanted to tell you what it's like working with a recruiter, just for people who are unsure, have a negative feeling about it, or nervous about it, or don't know what to expect. Everything is 100% confidential. That is the main thing. So Buffalo is so small. We do take that very, very seriously, and everybody in HR knows that as well. You don't have to worry about that. Second good thing is there is no fee to you. Our clients pay us to find good people.
No fee to the job seekers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then your resume never leaves our hands unless we've fully pitched you a job, given you more information on it, and you say, I want to be submitted to this client. The search is 100% yours. There's nothing sketchy going on. Your resume just isn't floating around to companies we think you would be a good fit at. You totally direct that in what you want us to do with your information.
As a job seeker, we want to get to know you as a candidate. So depending on what your career background is, sometimes it also may be you're looking to change your career. Getting to know your background, what you're looking for in the next step in your career. It's not something that we just assume based on your background that you want to do that moving forward. Mm-hmm. So we go through your previous work history, find out the details of what you're looking for in that next step in your career, talk about what that target salary is that you're expecting in that next step, and then also a big piece of the puzzle is commute. Buffalo is a very small Western New York area. We have the Buffalo 20 minutes, but in reality, places are farther away than 20 minutes. If you're not comfortable from the south towns to the north towns, or vice versa, or you're saying like, hey, I can do that longer commute if it's only on a hybrid schedule, 1 to 2, 3 days a week, but I can't make that commitment 5 days a week. That's stuff that like we get to know you as that job seeker and what you're looking for out of that next step in your career.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then another key piece is that we're there with you all the way till salary negotiations. We work with the clients to get you the best overall offer, whether it's flexing on a hybrid schedule, maybe you want a little less in salary for flexibility, or maybe the benefits are fully paid for, or you don't need benefits. We really work with the client and the candidate. Yeah, PTO can throw in an extra week. Sometimes people value that and will take a little bit less in salary, or vice versa. It's really tailored to you, and we're very upfront about it. One of the main things that Ashley and I like to see from our candidates from a recruiting standpoint is just to be transparent with us throughout the process. We're very honest and transparent with you, even about the company. If we've heard bad things about a company in the market and we're working on it and they're trying to change it, we tell you like, hey, we haven't heard great things, or rebuilding the department, and let you make that choice. We don't try to mask anything or hide anything. We like to be very transparent. And if you've already applied to a position that we tell you the client you've already applied, if they've had it posted externally, we cannot submit you, because at that point then you are the client's candidate. All we ask from our candidates is just to say, hey, I did apply to this role, or a different recruiter submitted me. We don't do the legwork, send the candidate over, and then look silly in front of the client if they're like, hey, this person already applied. And that's not a way to build a strong relationship with recruiters in general. We've had that happen to us and we don't appreciate it. So that's not a good way to do business. That is just something that we ask from all of our candidates, is just honesty and transparency.
And part of the process too is when we talk with the companies about what the role is, we learn, okay, this is the job description, but what's outside the job description? What's the company culture like as far as like the office environment? What's the department's, vibe as far as like what the management style is? Are you somebody that, appreciates working with a micromanager because you like to be that diligent, get everything done? Or do you want that autonomous environment where you have that flexibility and you can just, okay, this is what the task is assigned to me, I can get it done, but you're kind of set free to get that task completed. Just knowing what management style you work best under and learning what that department already has structure in place. You could have two candidates that have the same qualifications and can still both do the job, but finding the right person to fit that dynamic is important because obviously that's what creates those long-standing working relationships.
Yep. So kind of like matchmakers.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it has to be the perfect fit for the client and the candidate. We really want that experience to be there for you both, and we really try to match in the skill set so that you're there for a long time and happy in your current role. That's really the main points of what we do.
And when we submit a candidate over to a company, obviously we have your resume formatted, but we also go a step beyond because we let the company know why we think you're a good candidate for the role. So we can really act like that cheerleader on your behalf. We write up an overview. Obviously you have your hard skills that say why you're a good candidate on your resume, but we can really pull out those transferable skills as well so that we can say, oh, during their time at company X, they did A, B, and C. During their previous work history at company Y, they did X, Y, and Z, and that's why we think they'd be a good fit. Stuff that's between the lines of the resume. We can obviously pull out those hard skills and soft skills.
And with that, we include what you're targeting for salary, because that's important just so the client sees it up front. Sometimes we do send candidates over at a higher range than what the client's targeting, but we want to be upfront about it so you don't waste your time, get through a whole interview process, and then be like, oh, we're way off on salary. So that's why we do that. And then we explain why you're open to new opportunities and why you left your previous roles, just so the client can see that upfront as well.
And there's so many reasons why you may no longer be at previous companies. The company may have closed, they could have had layoffs, you could have relocated, but we just clearly spell that out for an employer so that way they know, oh, that makes perfect sense. So it's not just always that quote bad manager where you weren't not getting along with people. It doesn't show that history because obviously there's so many reasons why somebody may move on or progress in their professional career, and we want to showcase that.
And everybody has a story to tell. That's really what it is in the interview process, and getting to learn you and your story and what would make you a good fit for all these great companies in Buffalo.
Yeah. Another thing too, as far as when you are progressing through your professional career, what your personal preferences may change. At one point in your career, you may be saying oh, I want to get that next title, or I want a higher salary, or this is why I'm looking to progress in my career. Other things, as life happens, it may adjust that. Maybe at this point in your career, you're looking for more flexibility, or you're looking for that shorter commute time. And all of that's okay. Learning what's important to you right now, knowing that what was important to you 5 years ago may be different that's important to you now, and what will be important to you 5 years from now too. Those are all okay, but finding that internal realization of what is important to me at this moment, and that's what you're looking for in that next step in your career.
And really what we do is balance the candidate side and the client side. Since we're advocating on behalf of the candidate and the client, it's important to see the pain points for each of you, what roadblocks you're running into with your job search, what roadblocks the clients are running into to hire people. That's another big thing. Switching into from the client side, what do you think, Ashley, is one of the biggest issues that clients have when they come to us to help search for a new role?
Yeah, when companies come to us and say, hey, we need this position filled, we ask them, what hurdles have you had so far? Sometimes they may have saying oh, we're looking for one type of position, but after speaking with them, it may have pivoted and they didn't even really realize that, oh, maybe I'm actually looking for this other position, or we're going to call it something different, because they could be just posting it based on what the actual position title is, but sometimes titles don't actually relate to what the job is, or it's just a standard job title that they may be targeting the wrong candidates. So that's something that we walk and talk and coach and educate the companies as well, just because we're seeing so many different things in the marketplace that are not industry specific, where it may have a very industry specific title, but you're really looking for this personality or this experience. We sometimes will help coach them and guide them. It's like, we're going to give you the right person that you need, but the title may not be what you
thought it would be.
Yeah.
And we've done that a lot with clients or companies. We have so much market intel that we see, and especially things we specialize in with accountants and marketing and sales,
Yep.
where we can say, hey, for this salary range, you're not finding the right person because it's too low level. If you want that next level up, you're going to have to bump the salary up another $10,000, but you're kind of looking for someone for this more lower level role, but it's not paying enough. We say, hey, maybe you need to break this up into 2 positions, or maybe you do need to hire that lower level person that fits in that salary range that you can train, and that over time can move up into that senior higher level role. We know a ton about the salaries and what we're seeing in the market, and that has changed dramatically since
I think
COVID,
it has for you even more so
Yeah.
with the accounting and finance.
Definitely in accounting and finance. Just coaching clients and companies through that and letting them know, like, hey, this is what we're seeing and this is what you could do. Or even just recently we had a client call with a company, and they were looking basically for 3 different roles in one position. So we had to sit down with them and be like, hey, this is great, but really you need this kind of person that can evolve into this role, and you're looking for this person now, but they almost don't exist because they're not the same personality type. They're completely different.
Yeah. And we were sending them what they were asking for, and they're like, we like this person, but we feel like they'd be better in this role. And we're like, but
they don't
that's
want
not what
that
you
role.
wanted.
Yeah.
Like, we can find that person. We just were looking for the wrong profile.
So it was a really productive call, though, because then we were able to pivot, and then the company understood, yeah, you're right, let's actually move it to this role and see what we can find. We can kind of keep that other position open if we find that, but now it's switched into 2 positions that they really have a need for instead of just the one. That's where we become very valuable to the companies to help them navigate that and see that.
In addition to being the matchmaker for the ideal candidate for the ideal role, because that also can just be like a timing issue. But we are sometimes having to pull out that strategy side of, okay, well, what is the job that this person is actually doing? What are we going to call this role to actually find the right candidate? Because they're like, this is what the title is, but it could just be something 1, which that 1 or 2 or 3 is just their like internal tier level, but it has nothing to do to the general public of what that means. So.
And we can really advocate for our candidates too. There's been so many times it's a really niche or like tough search, and we find a candidate, we talk to them, we think they would be a great fit, we know their personality, we've worked with some of these candidates for years, we understand what they're looking for, who could be a good fit. We sent them over to the client and they've said, no, we're gonna pass on this person for X, Y, and Z. And at that point we feel very strongly about the candidate. We will say, hey, we really think that you should talk to this person because we're seeing X, Y, and Z in the market. Like, this person has these transferable skills. We actually did that for a client recently, and then they ended up bringing the candidate in for an interview, and then they ended up loving him and they ended up making him the offer. If we hadn't pushed back and advocated for that candidate, known the ins and outs of the market, they would have missed a great candidate, and the candidate has been there and is doing really well.
On the flip side of that too is there's going to be times where multiple candidates are applying for the same position and they only have 1 opening. Sometimes great candidates don't get selected for that role. Not because they are great candidates, but it just, the person selected may have had a different skill set or a better skill set for that job. So obviously we have to deliver bad news or disappointing news, more so for great candidates. But that doesn't mean that the search stops there. We are constantly getting in new opportunities, new industries, and there's been numerous times just in the 2 years that I've been here that I've talked with candidates for 1 role. They've interviewed great. The company has went in a different direction. I reached out to them maybe like a month later, 2 months later. In one case, it was 6 months later. I was like, hey, just checking in. I came across this role. I think it'd be great for you. We send the information, and I'm just like, it may not sound like what you are looking for, but because a title or a job can have so much more than just the responsibilities listed on the job description, I was like, let's just talk. Let's have a conversation about what additional responsibilities or additional dynamics of the role is. And then we pitch the job, we talk about it, and they get really excited. They're like, I would have never applied to this because it wasn't something that I thought I would have liked. As we walk and talk through it, they're like, this does sound like the perfect role for me. And in that case, the one candidate, he got the job. He was like, but I would have never applied to this, thinking it was something completely different, but it was actually the right fit. So
that's why we really like to learn the candidates and the companies and the clients and what they're looking for, because we really can zig and zag and find that right fit, which is important.
Sometimes it's a nice, quick placement, and sometimes it's a marathon.
And there's been candidates that I've worked with for years where they kind of been passively looking, didn't have a job, and keep reaching out to them, checking in with them, and then next thing you know, the perfect job comes along and it's the timing's right and they're open and we end up placing them. People think like, oh, if they don't have a job for me right now, it's just a waste of time, but we're not trying to waste anybody's time. If you have a great background and you're looking for a job, it's good. Just we have all your information, because we might not have a job right now that's the right fit, but we might in 2 weeks, we might in 3 months, we might in a year and a half. And again, it's no fee to you or anything like that. So why not just have a conversation just so you can be on our radar? And we do work with great clients, companies in the Buffalo market. We don't like to just work with anybody in any company. If we've heard bad things in the market, we really do take that to heart when talking to candidates. If we hear things, we make note of it. And if we have calls with clients and companies and we let them know, like, hey, we've heard about this in the market, what do you have to say about it? We do try to work with really great companies and great clients. So Ashley, giving this more thought, and as we're having these conversations, what are some additional pain points that you've seen with talking to candidates and companies that you've seen in the market?
One of the kind of hot button topics for pain points is job seekers is struggle versus everybody wants a remote opportunity versus in office.
That's a big one.
Remote opportunities do exist. Not a lot in Buffalo. We don't work on a lot of remote opportunities. However, the best of both worlds aspect is having something more that hybrid environment. So, and I think that there are those candidates and the job seekers that do want to be back in that office because they do like the interaction. Even though it's nice to be working remote or from home some days, you don't actually get that learning curve. You're not growing as an employee and as a person. Having that hybrid opportunity is the best of both worlds, where you still are getting that interaction, you're learning, you're working with other team members, and then obviously having that flexibility aspect to it. And I think a lot of companies are realizing that that's where they're getting and attracting the best talent, is that having that hybrid or just the flexibility in their work schedule.
Flexibility piece is huge. Even if they don't have a hybrid model or it's 5 days a week, but if someone has an appointment or their child is sick or something, having that flexibility to come and go is definitely going a long way with the candidates.
Because I think the whole dynamic and the culture of the office space is just having that flexibility. People are understanding that they're not working in fear. Oh my gosh, if I'm sick a day, I'm coming in because I have to power through. Or
if there's a snowstorm.
Yes. Like, hey, I live in the South Towns and I just got 4 feet of snow overnight. Or 6 or 7. Just knowing that I can still be a good employee. I can still work from home as I'm navigating. I can't get out of my driveway. You know, that flexibility aspect of being there and the company being understanding of everything versus like, oh no, that's going to be an hour of PTO time or vacation time, or oh, you're going to have to just take the whole day. Obviously, there are roles that has to be the case, but if it's a job that does allow for that flexibility, job seekers are much more comfortable going into the office more if they understand that the company understands that the need for flexibility.
Yeah.
And those roles do still exist, the remote ones, but the hybrid is the way of the future. So if you are a serious job seeker and you are applying to the jobs that are more focused to what your skill set is, that are in person or having that hybrid, then you have a better chance of getting those responses. People always say, oh, I never hear back from companies, or I send out all these resumes.
Goes into the abyss.
Yep, and I never hear back. Why am I not here? I'm sending out hundreds of resumes. Well, the reason may be that you are not applying to the jobs. If you can't spam your resume and expect to have good results. You know, really it is extra time and effort, but if you are tailoring your resume to the job that you're applying to, then you have a better chance of getting a call back or to your resume. You're not just kind of applying all and seeing what makes them up.
It's good to be intentional about your search, and we do tell candidates that don't just spam your resume and apply to every position or company that you see. like first see if you have any connections or somebody in your network, or even a lot of times we say go the reverse way where you actually target a company, like, hey, I want to work at this company, I think my skill set would align with this company, I spoke to this person, and then we connect with people on LinkedIn, reach out if you see a job posted, try to find the hiring manager or the HR manager on LinkedIn and send them a professional note with your resume attached and do the follow-up. But if you're just spamming your resume across the board, it's just you're not going to get the results that you want. And then obviously working with us.
Yes. The companies that we work with, when we send over candidates to the companies, we already have qualified them. That we know that you're vetted and you're interested. It's not just a like, oh, here's a candidate. The candidates are excited to have the opportunity to interview with these companies. So it is the tailored approach.
Yeah. And with us, your resume gets right in front of a hiring manager. We work directly with the hiring manager. Your resume is in their inbox. When you're just applying to the ATS, if there's 500 other applicants that someone's going through and one keyword could just throw you out of the system. That definitely is an advantage working with a recruiter for sure. And it just keeps it smaller and, again, confidential.
You're not just sending it out wherever. You are keeping that confidentiality piece is important.
Absolutely.
And then when we, as a recruiter, submit a qualified candidate to the company, we're not sending over 100 resumes. We're sending over those top tier candidates to take a look at and see how you want to proceed. You're not one of 10,000 that are applying to a remote role that's just going through that applicant tracking system that will get passed by. We will respond back to you. So you're not going to get that lack of response. When we hear back from a company, if it's like, great, let's bring this person in for an interview, amazing. If they say, thank you, we're going to pass on this candidate, we will ask that hard question of why. We'll say, was there something that they were missing or things like that, so that we can actually provide feedback to the job seeker as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we can only do what's in our control. We do ask, and if the client is just too busy or we can't pinpoint down the feedback, we be transparent and say, hey, we asked. They didn't say anything bad about your resume, but they just had other people in the process. Right. But we do advocate on your behalf to try to get you closure either way, or even if you make it to the end of an interview process and they go with someone else, we try to really get feedback from the client, so then the company, so we can give you feedback on maybe something throughout the interview process that you could change, or just constructive feedback for you. So that's helpful as well. And then with resumes, we've seen some crazy resumes, crazy email addresses. It's very important to make sure that your email address is professional, that your contact information is updated, the correct phone number. Yes. If you are not currently working, if an assignment ended, put until March 2024. Don't put until present if you're not working, because then if you get to the interview process, it looks like you're hiding something or you're trying to pull a fast one. That's really important to update that. And we do give you tips and tricks on your resume when we're talking to you, and we format it and go through it. A lot of times with candidates, if we do give them feedback, sometimes they don't want to change it, but hey, you have all this great experience that you're not showing on your resume. Like, we understand you might have it to one page, but there's a lot that we do with the formatting. I always tell the candidates, like, I can take care of the formatting, but I need the meat and potatoes of your resume. I need those bullet points. So
then we'll make it look pretty.
Exactly. Then we can cut it down and make it to what we need to do, because there's a lot you can do with spacing. But it's always good for us to have the information. And sometimes candidates don't want to put the effort in to update it, and that's fine. They're probably not the right fit for the role then at that point.
They're not as dedicated to their job search.
Exactly. But if you're willing to put that effort in, we're just trying to sell you the best we can moving forward and based on our clients. So.
And we can have multiple versions of your resume on file as well. So we're submitting you to company A, and we have more of a tailored approach to maybe something more in the sales direction. But then you're also applying to another company who is more of maybe like account management, where it's very similar, but it is a different role. We can have more than one version of your resume depending on what job you're applying to. When we talk with you about updating the resume, or like, hey, we're gonna have this version for this role, this version for that role, it really is a tailored process. It's not a one size fits all. Believe us when we say we can take this section out, or we want you to beef this section up, because it really does showcase what your skill set is for that role. If you're earlier on in your career, you're like, one page might be okay, but if you have that experience, it is okay to go on to 2 pages. Don't just babble to babble, but obviously we want to make sure that the important information is there. We don't want to leave something off just to make sure it fits on one page. But also, on the flip side, we do not need a 13-page resume. We received one of those and we cut that down. But again, being very tailored to the job that you're applying to is important because we want to showcase the important skill set that you bring to the table.
Exactly. And then another thing, Ashley, coaching candidates through gaps in their resume. Mm-hmm. You might have a gap on your resume, and that's why we like to send over that overview, which is more of telling the story of and explaining that to the
job changes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Explaining the job changes, but to the client and to the company why there was that break there and just ways to overcome that, because some people might be like, oh, I didn't even put this on, or I left this out. We like to be fully transparent and just explain it. So.
Yeah, there's valid reasons for everything. Mm-hmm. Whether you were a stay-at-home parent, especially during the COVID years, hey, I may have moved because my spouse needed. There's so many different reasons why. There's valid reasons on why there may be that gap in their resume. We note that down, but also note down it professionally so that it's not too invasive to somebody's personal life, but clearly stating there is a reason why.
Exactly. So that's just another good thing, and just having someone, on your behalf who can explain it. Companies can understand that as well. And then we do have tons of other services for candidates and clients as well, but specifically for us with working with our candidates, we do have resume formatting service where we don't write your resume, but we do give you feedback on the information that should be on there, what you could move, what experience maybe is older, like internships or something that you could get away from now that you have that real world experience. Yeah, so just really restructuring it and giving you the pointers on that.
Mm-hmm. We also, on StaffBuffalo.com, in the upper right hand corner, there's the Hot Pink Jobs button. We talk about this Hot Pink Jobs button all the time. If you go to the Hot Pink Jobs button and you click on that, it goes to all our active jobs. Mm-hmm. Also on that page, you can sign up for our job notification email. Yep. And with that, if you are an attorney, you sign up for the attorney emails. If you're a CPA, you need to hear about all of the new CPA accounting position we just posted. You can actually tailor what you're looking for in that next step in your career. And as soon as a job gets posted, you are notified immediately. It's not like it refreshes at the end of the day. As soon as that job gets posted, you get an email sent to you right away saying like, hey, we just posted this new job, check it out. And you're like, this looks pretty interesting. I want to learn more. You can actually apply right directly from there.
And then also we have, if you look at our jobs board and you don't see anything that fits your skill set or that you would be interested in, we do have a general application that you can apply to that comes directly to us, and it is parsed out to the team who would be the right recruiter to work with that candidate specifically, and we can just chat with you, get your information in our system. That way, if a job does come in, like in 3 months or a week or whatever, we do have your information in the system, so that's always good just to have a general conversation. Mm-hmm. And
as far as, real quick before we move on, if you are thinking of changing careers or you have a job but you're just really not sure what the market is, that general application is a good way to, again, like speak to us directly. I like my job, but I'm just looking for something more. So in case that perfect role, that dream job comes up, that's where we can like have you in our system ahead of time.
It really doesn't hurt to have a conversation, and that really is one of the things that we do want to hone in on and hit home, because it's just another connection, and we're not spamming you with emails or anything like that. We have this conversation, but we're only actively reaching out to you if a role comes in that could be a good fit for your skill set and what you're looking for. So you're not getting a ton of spam emails from us. But a conversation is definitely worth it.
Yep. So if you really want to just have a conversation and learn more about networking, or maybe you are in that situation where you're like, I think we're going to change careers. You can actually sign up through our career chats, whether you're looking for best practices for interviewing, actual interview skills. We have the career change week, and then also the networking aspect. If you're like, I'm good with the interviews, but I need more information of what I can do for networking, or vice versa, you can actually just like select those weeks specifically that you want to join in and just chat with us. And we also have the virtual open interviews too, where you get to pick one of us to talk to based on like what your background is, and then we can have that open interview, find out what you're looking for in the next step.
Exactly. So it doesn't just have to only specifically be applying to a job. There's other ways to get in touch with us and contact with us, and those virtual open interviews are every Thursday. The link's on our website. We do encourage you to put your resume in there. It is very helpful. Just A, it's in our system, then B, we have an idea of your background and your skill set.
During our call, we can speak to the resume and find out what might be the best best fit for you moving forward.
Yeah. We're here to help you through any pain points that you're having,
Yes.
and there to assist you. So,
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Pain Points podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us so you never miss out on future episodes.